Oh boy, it feels like it's been an entire lifetime since I recorded last week's episode, when in fact it's been 8 days. But it's been a long 8 days. I'm excited to be back with you today though, because we're going to be talking about why it's time for you to return to your home. And that might be a different home than what you're thinking it is.
You're listening to the Wellness Simplified podcast. Simple wellness tips to help you improve your life without turning it upside down. With your host, award-winning fitness instructor, nutrition coach, and wellness expert, Suzi Phoebens.
Hello. Oh, welcome back to the podcast. Like I said in the intro, it feels like it has been a lifetime since last week. But when you do 6 10-hour course days in the run of a 7-day period, time seems to get a little bit mixed up. I am just freshly off of what has been the most intense training I have had to do, maybe ever. I'm not even sure. Doing 10-hour days and doing so many of them in a row, I do not advise it. I don't advise it. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was doing 10-hour days in advanced Ayurveda, which, oh boy, that was like the intense of the intense. Like when your trainer says, if you just remember your Sanskrit, this is going to be so much easier for you. Well, Sanskrit is not a language that I know as well as I should as a yoga instructor. I can rattle off a lot of poses in Sanskrit, but as far as like the root words and able to tell you what a word means when asked, unless it's like 1, 2, 3 or foot or hand or something, I cannot help you. So that was a little bit of a challenge. We were all sort of in the same category there. Nobody really was very good at their Sanskrit. It's the oldest language on earth. It sounds beautiful. It is really challenging because there's like 6 different ways to say S depending on what letter accompanies it and what accent is involved and all of this. Anyway, and then Ayurveda is life knowledge. It is learning how to bring balance into your life based on your personal constitution and going with the different seasons and where you are in your life and all of this. And it is amazing. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's eye-opening, but it's also a lot. And of course, the deeper you get into it, it becomes that a lot turns to even more. I can't think of the right terminology, but it's a lot. It's a lot. So Sunday night when we finished, like I closed my computer and I cried because I was so tired and I was just so happy that I had got it done. This is a course I would not have been able to take if it was not for COVID. It never would have gone online. They really didn't want to make it online, but eventually we wore them down and they put it online. I'm so glad they did. So eventually I'm going to be able to be an Ayurvedic lifestyle coach, but I still have a lot of work to do before I can do that. This specialty track is actually the only track in yoga fit education that has an exam. So I finished Ayurveda 1, which was 20 hours, Ayurveda 2, which was 20 hours, advanced Ayurveda, which was 40 hours, and now I have to do a whole lot of at-home self-directed study. I have a lot of homework that I had to complete. I have to do my own protocol and report on that. Then I have to have a consultation with my trainer for an hour. And then after that, I have an exam. So there's still a lot to go into that, but at least I have that core work done, those courses done, and the rest I can sort of do in my own time. Then on Monday, I had the day off, and I say off with quotes because it was not off. I had a day off from training to try and catch up on the rest of life. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, I took another course, which was called Yoga Lean, which was the last course I needed to complete my holistic whole body health specialty track. So I have done that. I have sent in all of my requirements so I can have that certificate given to me, which is very exciting. You know, I'm all about the holistic stuff and it just feels good to have that done. I wanted to backtrack for a second though, because one thing I really like about Ayurveda is it doesn't counter-indicate anything else. Like Ayurveda is learning what foods work for you and what foods don't, learning about different herbs and how they help different things, help heat when you're cold, help cool you when you're hot, help with different nutritional deficiencies and things. So it doesn't counterindicate traditional medicine or naturopathic medicine or any of that stuff. It's just something that you can add in. Like even in our trainings, they said, like if you have cancer, you're going to go for the cancer treatment. We don't want you to do a cleanse and assume that you're going to be fine. That's not what this is about. This is about how you can bring your life back into balance, but you go to the medical professionals that you need when you need to. So I really appreciate that, because I think sometimes when people get into these hippy drippy woo-woo things, you think, oh yeah, great. She's gone off the deep end. She's now going to be curing, colon cancer with a black Onyx stone or something. I had a hard time even coming up with a stone name right there. And that is not what it's about at all. I think as I start to weave more of that into my podcast and trainings and courses and blog and all of that, you're really going to appreciate how beautiful it really is. Like one thing I've told a lot of people recently, if you're somebody who gets really jittery when you have coffee, add some cardamom. Add some cardamom to your coffee and it helps negate that caffeine rush that you get that gives you the jitters. So I put cardamom in all of my coffee, all of it. And that's why pumpkin spices, because you have the clove and cinnamon and cardamom can be in there too, and nutmeg, that's the other one. They're all heating spices. And it's really popular this time of year because this is the time of year where things go from hot to cold, and you notice that you're chilly all the time in the fall. Like I'm chilly right now and it's not even cold out, but it's because it's that time of year where you just kind of get bone chilled, and those are all heating spices and they help warm you up. So pumpkin spice in the fall makes perfect Ayurvedic sense. It's really fascinating. Anyway, I digress, as I so often do. Let's bring it back to today's topic, which is home. It's time to come home, I said in the intro, and I said it's probably not the home that you're thinking of. So that yoga lean training I took the last 2 days, I really am not terribly keen on the name of it because it makes it sound like it was made to make you skinny, and that is not really the purpose of yoga lean. Yoga lean was more helping you live a healthy lifestyle, and for some people that may involve losing weight, but not everybody, so I'm not too keen on that name. But one thing that came up over and over the 2 days is coming home or returning home to your breath, returning home to your body. And that really resonated with me because when we think of home, we think of our home, the home that I'm recording in. I don't know, you may not be in your home while you listen to this, but your home that you come to at the end of the day. But if we bring that a little bit closer to us, what is our body if not our home? And let's just go with that a little bit here. So let's think about people who do renovations on their house. Things always get worse before they get better, don't they? You start tearing something down and then you're like, oh my God, why did I even begin this? This is such a disaster. But you've made the mess at that point, and the only way to get through it is to do it, sort of thing. So when it comes to doing home renovations, well, I shouldn't say that. Not everybody does. Sometimes people just stop and let it sit there for years. But generally speaking, once you get started, you got to finish it. And once it's finished, don't you feel fantastic once you finish one of those big home projects? Even though it was hard and challenging and things came up, because things always come up. You find a broken pipe or some shoddy electric work or something, you always find something. And it's always more challenging than you think it's going to be, but it's always so worth it in the end. So let's think about our bodies as our home. And I think that that's a really great analogy because this isn't how we took it in the course, but I'm going off on my own Suzi rant here. If you think about your body as your home, and maybe you're not feeling as great in your body as you'd like to, maybe it's time to do some home renovations. And maybe you've started to do some of those renovations by starting to change the way you eat or exercising more, taking time for you, bringing in some balance. And things may have gotten a little bit unpleasant. You realize maybe you were more out of shape than you thought. Maybe you discovered that eating healthfully isn't as fun as you thought it was. It can be fun. It can be fun. But maybe you really miss your evening potato chips or ice cream. And maybe you realize that you had a lot of inner work, a lot of inside stuff that you needed to deal with before you'd be able to finish this quote unquote renovation. But where are you going to go? When things get unpleasant, we have the choice to push through and find our way through it, knowing that sometimes when things are unpleasant, we do have to stop. I want to just be sure that you know that I know that there are times when a person has to stop. But in general, when things are just a little bit uncomfortable because you're trying to change a habit and you're just not really feeling it, things have to get worse before they can get better. Most of the times, there has to be some of those moments. Have you ever cleaned out your closet? Let's just take have you ever cleaned out the closet and you got everything out and you looked around you and you were like, oh boy, what have I done? You can't just get up and leave. Because when it's time for bed, you come back and your clothes are still all over the bed. Like, you still have to take care of that crap. But when it comes to our bodies, we start to make those changes. We get to that same moment of, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I even doing this? A lot of times, we just pack it up and we leave the room. And we just don't go back. A lot of times when things get uncomfortable in our bodies, we detach from our body. We detach from our home. But it's time that we made our way back home. It's time for you to stand tall and proud in your body. It's time for you to finish whatever those renovations were. Maybe you've decided that those renovations that you were going to make, they aren't really what you need or want anymore, and you want to change that plan. That is absolutely your right, and you absolutely should do that if you realize that a plan isn't going to work for you. But it's time that you come back to your home, and you stop thinking about how it's you against your body. It's not you against your body. It's you and your body. You're in this together. This vessel that you've been given to live out your life, how do you feel about it? Do you have anything nice that you say about it on a regular basis, or are you always putting it down? Are you always putting it on a different level than you? Like, you are you and your body is a problem. Let's come back to our bodies. You're in this together. You can't live this life without your body. And your body can't live this life without you and your essence. So let's bring them all back together. And how do we do that? How do we do that? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to go get a black onyx stone. No, I'm kidding. It's simple. Number 1, come back to your breath. Return to your breath. Set a timer for 30 seconds. You can't tell me that you cannot find 30 seconds somewhere in your day. And breathe those deep rib expanding breaths. Another way you can start to come back to your body is by moving it in a way that you enjoy. Maybe it's a nice day and you want to go for a walk. Maybe you want to walk around your kitchen 5 times because that's all that you can manage right now. Maybe you want to open up an app on your phone or search a video on YouTube for a meditation that's 5 minutes long. Maybe you want to start a gratitude journal. And for the first 30 days, write something that you're grateful for about your body. Remember, you and your body are in this together. You are one. You are one. And what your body looks like on the outside is a manifestation of what's happening on the inside. And we need to come home to our bodies instead of just letting people, squatters inside there doing whatever the heck they want. You need to come back. You need to crack the whip, so to speak, and say, no, I'm in control here. My body is my home. It's time for me to clean some things up or change some things around or simply come back and be present with this wonderful body that I've been given to live in. And I know especially people who are overcoming trauma. This can be really challenging because they've discovered that their body is not a safe place to live. So it's really important, especially if you're somebody who's been dealing with a lot of traumas. And make no mistake, we all have trauma in our lives, whether it's a big trauma or a little trauma, and how that's impacting you is a completely other story, but everybody has trauma. You may need to go see a therapist. You might need to find a trauma-sensitive yoga instructor or other modalities that will help you with that trauma so it feels safe to live in your body. But that's what our number one goal should be. If we're not happily living in our home, in our body, that's got to be the first step. That has to be your first step. You can make other things your first step, but in the end, I don't think you're going to be successful until you recognize that you have to be happy in the body that you have right now and be thankful for all that it is doing for you right now before you're going to make any long-lasting changes. So that's what I want to leave you with this week is, are you living in your home, or have you kind of moved into the motel down the street and you're just trying to forget that your home even exists? And maybe it's time to start to add in some of those things I mentioned before, setting that timer for 30 seconds, finding a meditation, doing a gratitude journal that is just about your physical body. And I do mean physical body. I don't mean saying, oh, I'm a happy person or I'm a nice person. I want you to give thanks for actual physical attributes of your person and see where it leads you in 30 days. But we have to come home. We all have to return home to our bodies. Thank you so much for listening today. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please share it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. If you do share it on Instagram, be sure to tag me at Suzi Confesses so I can see your share. And, drop me a DM if you thought this was interesting or if you thought it was trash, and we can talk about it. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you next week.